Thank you, Acting Speaker, and today I rise to contribute to the Crimes Amendment Non-Fatal Strangulation Bill 2023. And firstly, I just want to acknowledge all the previous contributions that have been made in this chamber and also the passion that's come with that and the emotion that's come with that. I do acknowledge those members. Of course, this law adds two new serious charges for deliberately choking a family member in the Crimes Act 1958, and these charges are separate and distinct so as to identify cases, to help catch and prosecute cases of choking that happen in families, especially in situations of domestic violence. And choking someone on purpose, even if it doesn't cause death, is a strong sign that more harm could happen into the future. And this law aims to address and prevent such situations. And we have stood on this floor many times and reiterated our commitment to women and families, and in particular children within families. And it was around 4 years ago I had a constituent that came into my office, my electoral office, to tell me about her experiences where her partner had strangled her. And of course, at the time, she was rendered unconscious for a short period of time. She requested that, that our government introduce legislation about this particular issue. Unfortunately, she was not believed by the police when they attended this situation. Because the choking fell outside of the common assault and because of her relationship with the perpetrator. And again, as I said, she wasn't believed in any case, which was very unfortunate. But it was clear to me that the legislation needed to be changed, and it's something that sat with me and something I've talked to colleagues about over the last few years, including the former Attorney General, the Honourable Jill Hennessy, about introducing legislation such as this. And I'm just hopeful, and I did text my constituent last night that we were going to be talking about this legislation today, and I'm just hopeful that this introduction of this legislation will ease my constituent's mind and put her at peace in regard to domestic violence and family violence and the experiences that she's suffered. Of course, this bill will ensure that intentional non-fatal strangulation against a family member has a maximum of 5 years imprisonment, and intentionally causes injury carries 10 years. It's amending the Family Violence Prevention Act to recognise strangulation as family violence, which is important in terms of the family violence intervention orders, consideration of bail applications and protections for witnesses giving evidence. And of course, some consider that the offences are too narrow and too difficult to prosecute, but others consider there to be risk with the application being too broad. So requiring the intentional causation of injury serves as a crucial safeguard to prevent wrongly labelling acceptable behaviours as criminal. And the intentionally broad range of actions covered and the absence of a defence based on consent mean that if the offence included reckless actions, it could unintentionally encompass various legitimate behaviours not intended to be addressed by the reforms. Of course, the design of the offence aims to target the most severe instances of this wrongdoing, justifying the significant maximum penalty. And this approach is in line with existing offences that carry comparable penalties, and allowing for an offence of non-fatal strangulation caused recklessly to result in injury would warrant a maximum penalty of 5 years imprisonment. And choking someone, even if it doesn't lead to death, is very dangerous and can seriously threaten someone's life, and that's been spoken about in some of the other contributions. And it stands that we have laws against things like common assault or intentionally hurting someone, which cover choking incidents. But when it happens in a family violence situation, it's a big warning sign that there's a high risk of more serious harm in the future. And of course, in a world where women are more likely to die at the hands of their intimate partner, choking is a serious warning sign. So, Acting Speaker, in 2023 we've seen that every 5 days a woman has been killed by her ex-partner in this, or her partner or ex-partner in Australia. And as a male, I'm absolutely sickened and disgusted that men continue to display behaviours that assault, that cause harm, that strangle, or they can even murder their partners. and that the culture that encourages or allows or permits, or whatever you want to describe it as, to continue. I just don't understand it, why males in this country do these sorts of things. And of course, Acting Speaker, sometimes it's celebrated by males. And again, it just disgusts me that these things go on. Melton has some incredible services available to people that are victims of these terrible acts. And of course, I do encourage people to contact my office if there are issues that they need support with. But we see that Western Health websites have a lot of information. And of course, we have the Orange Door services out there, and they do a fantastic job. We also have Jura family violence services for Indigenous families and Indigenous women. And I want to send a shout out to Antoinette Braybrook and her team out at Jura. They do an amazing job with the Indigenous community, and I thank them very much for what they do. And of course, we also have Sahara Victoria Association, which is another family violence agency specific for the Indian community. And Gurpreet Dillon, who runs it out in the Melton area, deals with a lot of young Indian women that are suffering through family violence situations. So I extend my thanks to them. And they're only some of the agencies out west. There's many more, and I know that the member for Footscray spoke about Macaulay House and other agencies, and they do a magnificent job in the western suburbs, and I can't thank them enough. Non-fatal strangulation won't happen just once. Choking often means that the violence will get and is getting worse. And some of the injuries sustained are not just only asphyxiation, so not rendering someone unconscious, but the more serious things of serious and major bruising. In some cases, neck fractures, and we don't even talk about that, and they could be life-lasting injuries. And in others, serious damage to the throat and also serious damage to the larynx and possible larynx fractures. And again, they're life-lasting injuries. And if I don't know if anyone's ever experienced dealing with someone with a neck fracture, and you just imagine putting your hands around someone's neck and squeezing it so hard that all of a sudden you hear the neck bones go pop. And at whatever level they do pop, potentially you could render someone paralysed from the neck down if you've damaged the nerve through those neck fractures. So that's how dangerous this situation is, and we know it's life-threatening, but also in some cases it's been life-ending, and the perpetrators in some cases have enjoyed it, and that's just terrible. Recently, I'm sad to say, there was a woman that was murdered by her partner in Melton. And again, it just adds to the statistics that we've already rattled off. One woman in every 5 days in this country has been murdered, and it's just terrible. And, it's happened in Melton just recently. We know there's been a recent one that's happened in Bendigo and many others, and it's tragic. And it's not just about the victim. It flows further down from that. It's about the families, it's about the friends, it's about the kids, and in a lot of cases the kids have witnessed these terrible crimes that have been committed by these despicable men, and I would say gutless men in most cases, absolutely gutless. But that's what's happening, and it's something that we have to stop, and that's what this legislation will certainly do by introducing the penalties that will apply. Of course, we live in a modern, wealthy nation, but we harbour sexist attitudes, and with it persists a culture where women do more unpaid domestic work, earn less over their lifetime than men, and retire with far less superannuation than men. And these are all contributors to the way women are treated, and these are all contributors to domestic violence. And these are things that we have to desperately change in this country, and we have to make women equal in this country, and I know our government's introduced many pieces of legislation to do so and provided many support services to do so. It's a big education agenda that we need to educate males and to teach them a decent lesson about women are prohibited from harm, and we don't need to resort to it. And I think good men don't resort to trying to harm women. This is a really important bill. I'm pleased that the opposition are supportive of it, and I commend the bill to the House.